Good evening and welcome to the Fourth Estate. This week, the Fourth Estate goes on the road. The news that Winnie Kiza would be quitting elective politics took the Ugandan media by storm. Many of us who hadn't anticipated the decision of Winnie Kiza were caught unawares. We look at how the Ugandan media covered that story, but also we talk to an influential Kasese journalist, Tembo Misairi Kembo, who tells us how that story unfolded and the context that it deserves.
Yeah, I've been a journalist around Kasese since 2003, and therefore the elections of 2006 were the first ones for me to cover. And I've been covering elections, now going into these coming elections. That's from her teenage time, that she was a good athlete who plays netball to different levels, and then was active in things of students' associations, and then she comes up to become a district councillor for Chondo and Kisinga sub-counties. That is in 1997. She came through a by-election. After failing, then there was a court process, and then there was a by-election for the woman councillor representing Kisinga Chondo sub-county. She came through, then she came to council, where the district chairman, who later on became her husband, Yokasa Behande, picked her and put her on the executive. So in 2001, again she was elected for that same area. Then she was on the executive, and then she started building her own power. So in 2005, at the start of the multi-party politics, she decided to run against the powerful woman of that time, Lois Bira Wambale. And it was something that people would not imagine, that some woman will come and defeat Lois Bira. But remember, the previous times, Lois Bira was going through electoral colleges. The woman MP was being elected through electoral colleges. And this time, at the opening of the multi-party system, she was subjected now to the universal adult suffrage. So there was a full blast campaign between Lois Bira, who everyone respected, and a young lady who was called Kawini. You know, the name Winnie, and maybe looking at her size and all that, they called her Kawini. A small woman called Kawini, running against Lois Wambale, and she won. And when she won, it became now one way of elevating her, because you defeat a powerful woman and you're on the opposition side. Then she didn't disappoint the people of Kasese. Then 2011 comes in, she wins. She's subjected to a by-election, she wins. And remember, in her first term in parliament, she becomes the deputy opposition chief whip. She chairs a committee in the parliament. Then she comes back to parliament, becomes the chief whip, and then comes and chairs another committee. And now she grows into that a big figure of the opposition in Kasese. So coming up to 2016, where she became now the leader of opposition, I think it depended on the way she had guided the opposition in Kasese during the election, because she played a very big role in this election of 6 MPs. Remember, when they were elected, it was only her and William Nzou that were MPs in the parliament. Her husband had not gone through the primaries. Then Chionga was defeated. James Mbahimba, the ambassador to the DRC, was also defeated in the primaries. So she had now the role to mentor these 4 new entrants. So together with Nzou, they've been mentoring. And that is the influence the woman has been having in Kasese. When it comes to the party politics of FDC, I think she was good at mobilization, bringing people together during those years when they were growing the FDC in Kasese. Yeah. To me as a person, I already knew that she was going to quit, though the population did not know it. Some of us who have been knowing things that happen in the corridors of power of our district, I knew that Winnie Chiza would not be seeking a fourth term, and this is a decision she took immediately after going through in 2016. Even in some of the campaign rallies, she was mentioning it. For example, at Mbondwe Primary School, that is in the center of that border town of Border Town Council, and that's where Dr. Chonga comes from. When she was campaigning for Atkins Katsabe, she told people that if I get a chance one day to be elevated to a higher level like Chionga, to be given a lead car, I will not be looking for anything else in politics. I will have served to the apex of what I want. And indeed, she became a leader of opposition. So some of us who speak to her were reminding her that this is what you are aspiring for. I think it is your time. And she had prepared everything. And I think after the attack on the palace in November 2016, the fight she led, people wished her another term. And they've been expecting, they thought she was fighting to get that space. So that's why it was a surprise to many, and it was not a surprise to me. After the elections of the party president, that Sis General Muntu is the one who insisted to name a shadow cabinet in 2016, when the party didn't want to have a shadow cabinet in parliament, and General Muntu insisted and then appointed Winnie Chiza as the leader of opposition. And then the other section of FDC was saying there must be someone called the leader of minority, and then she worked. And then in parliament, she seemed to have teamed up with Speaker Rebecca Kadaga to try to move parliament to another level, to the extent that she would even fly out with the speaker to represent this parliament. I think that's where the misunderstandings in the FDC started coming up. And then it came to the apex when General Muntu lost to Amriat, and then there was a clear out that Winnie Chiza out of that position of leader of opposition. And therefore, though she remained silent, the people in FDC started painting her in those purple colors of Alliance for National Transformation. It's a party she has never declared to have crossed to officially or at any public meeting, but it became now a source of the fight. And then the fight came from Najanangumi and went down to the district. That the district leaders of the FDC became divided. Others never wanted to fight her. Then the chairman of the party in the district, Saulo Mate, used every other opportunity of a press conference to paint a bad picture of Winnie Chiza. And then there came in the name of Robert Centenary, the name of Jackson Mbaju, and now it became something like that. And therefore, on the ground, they were now showing Chiza, who was an angel of FDC, started being looked at as someone like a devil. So there were many things that happened across. So it came to the extent that now some officials would come from Najanangumi, and Winnie Chiza doesn't find time to reach there. As a journalist, I put it to her. At sometimes the message is going to Kasese and is having a rally, you cannot attend. She said, no, I was called a thief, and therefore I cannot go and attend a meeting where maybe possibly they are going to tell the public in my presence that this is a thief. So there are quite a number of things that have been happening. I think it is something that is hard to explain, because in 2013-14, around there, when the FDC was electing their party structures, it's Winnie Chiza, her husband, and Nzou, who fought hard for Saul Mate not to lose that seat of chairperson. There were a lot of rumors at the time of electing at the Rwenzori International Hotel that the Saul Mate's competitor, Eli Magwara had been compromised by Chibanzanga, who was in the process of crossing to the NRM. And on the election day, it came that if this man wins against Saul Mate, maybe the executive was to cross with Chibanzanga to the NRM, and it was Winnie Chiza, Zou, and her husband behind who fought hard, and Saul Mate won the election by just 9 votes. So we moved on as the people Kasese, seeing these people with a cordial relationship. When she was the leader of opposition, every small function, she would be invited as the chief guest. She speaks immediately after Saul Mate. So they were going on well until after this woman was dropped from the seat. And that's when Saul Mate started firing at her. And then this issue of she stole money that was remitted for the MPs to the party headquarters. It started coming in, and then Winnie Chiza herself puts in a defense that as a leader of opposition, she does not touch the money. The parliament accountant banks it on the party account. But she clarified that sometimes the parliamentary accountant would mistakenly bank the money of the MPs to the party account of Kasese FDC, because the MPs of Kasese had an account in the parliament where they put their monthly remittance to the district headquarters. And therefore the money would reach Kasese, then Najanangombe calls Kasese, they withdraw and send it back. But it seems there is a certain 57 million that was wrongly sent to Kasese and has never come to Najanangombe. And then there was something that maybe she used her influence as a lope to ensure that that money goes to Kasese. And she says, no, I don't have control over the party account in Najanangombe and the party account in Kasese. So if there is any money that got lost, ask Nandala and Saul Mate. At some point in an interview with Daily Monitor, she even told us that she wants, if she can continue remitting to the party in Najanangombe monthly, there should be an audit. The MPs should be told where their money goes. So beginning from there, the fights started. And now when she attended the launch of the new formation at Hotel Africana, and then later on attended the launch of the ANT, that's when Saul Mate went full blast to show that this lady is no longer with us. And then they identified even another person as a people's representative to the people's government, because Winnie Chiza is not in the People's Assembly of the Parliament of Chiza, basically. So they had to identify another lady who is now among the 4 candidates in the FDC who are looking to replace Winnie Chiza. Much that needs to be done. There's much that needs to be done. I think the media has to get to the people who are close to Winnie Chiza. Understand maybe why she has decided to leave, because we've been seeing in social media others say it's because of the influence that General Saleh had in Kasese when he camped there 2 years ago. But Winnie Chiza is one of the few leaders of Kasese who never accepted to meet with General Saleh. I remember that chairman of FDC Saulo even suspended his vice chairperson, Catherine Mohendo, for having attended a meeting with General Saleh. But the lady had attended the meeting as a district councillor, because the general was meeting the district leaders. The lady is a district councillor and attended. She was suspended. And that means it would even have been worse if Saul Mate found that Winnie Chiza had met with General Saleh, because the FDC thought General Saleh had a mission to go and wipe out the support of the FDC in Kasese. So I think there is quite much that the media has to sit down and listen to Winnie Chiza, talk to a few of her friends, maybe in Parliament and all, and other associations where she's a member. People can be able to understand where Winnie Chiza came from to take a decision not to contest. Journalist on radio and a freelancer for Daily Monitor. I was one of the key contacts of the journalists from Kampala, including yourself. And that I used even to work as a fixer in some instances. So in Kasese, we've founded an association for the journalists that's trying to bring the journalists together, umbrella for journalists in Kasese. And at a local level, we try to organize ourselves, and we think that can be even a point of contact. Like if you are going to Kasese, you want to cover any kind of story in Kasese, you want to do appointments a week before, 2 weeks before, it's that association that can help to fix those appointments. And when you reach there, you know, up-country, journalists in the up-country, when they see especially journalists from Kampala who appear on a TV set all the time, they feel they're seeing role models, and therefore when you come there, you need to maybe engage with these people. They tell you what they want to learn, then they are able to take you wherever you want to go. And I think Kasese is a potential for many stories that are not related even to politics. There are issues of land conflicts, then tourism, agriculture, and many other things. And Kasese is developing at a rapid speed, if you can see. Sometimes I wonder why it was left out on the list of cities. And I still hope that one day it will be called the Mineral City. Yeah.
The realities of the media in the capital city are more often than not different from those in upcountry stations. And now the Fourth Estate is on the road to Fort Portal City. We talk here to the Voice of Toro, which is the oldest private radio station outside of Kampala. We talk to one of the political show hosts, Beatrice Mujungu, about the pressures of hosting political candidates on political shows. And we also talk about the pressures of covering the upcoming general elections.
My name is Betty Mujungu. I am a journalist. I work with Voice of Toro, and I host the breakfast show, which is Wikire, from 7 to 10, Monday to Friday. Yes, and I also host shows. I'm a political talk show host. This is my 6th year hosting shows at Voice of Toro. I started with Life FM at some point, and here I am, 5 years. Yes. Well, the only difference currently is that there are very many politicians that are booking time all the time. And, well, people, the politicians come with things that they want to dictate on what you want to probably talk about. They come with their own agenda. Of course, there are politicians who have things to tell people. So most times, even when you think that probably this is the way we should go, or this is what I should ask, they come asking for leniency, like, don't ask me this, don't ask me this, you know, I've bought my airtime, this is what I want people to hear. So it's really different from the usual talk show or political talk shows where you have the questions and they have to answer. So this time, they come with a set agenda. And that's so challenging for us, because most times you feel probably as someone that wants to be a leader, this is what people should know about you, but yet this is not what the politician wants people to know about them. So it's a bit challenging, but it would be manageable if, as talk show hosts, probably if we are left to ask the questions that we think are important to the electorate, that would be manageable. As the media, we need to be very, very vigilant, and we need to be very sensitive, because now politicians that have the money, let's say like the incumbents, like at my space, at my radio, at Voice of Toro, most of the time is booked by incumbents who have money, and because they've paid money, they don't want to, they want to set the agenda, which is really challenging. So as the media, I think we must be very vigilant to help the electorate to know what they want to know about these people. After all, there are no gatherings. There are no gatherings out. It is only on radio. And the electorate or the listeners think that whatever is said on radio is crystal truth. So I think as the media, it is our role to really take up as our role as agenda setters, as people that want to help our communities to get the leaders we want, the leaders that will probably foster transformation, and not the leaders just because they have paid some money, because they even want to, if you're a talk show host or this politician has bought airtime, they also want to facilitate you. Like they'll say, I'll facilitate you probably in transport and this and that. And of course that there's a way it can compromise the show host to actually want to make the people that are listening believe that this is the right person. So all this is happening. And I think as the media, we need to be very careful. This is the point where we are going to let our communities have the right people in positions of leadership just because the media said, or we will develop our communities. We are the media, we are part of these communities. So when we help our people to have the right people in leadership, it actually helps us, even the people as the media. These are our families, they are relatives, they are this and that. So we need to take up the role to guide society. Taking it upon myself as a journalist, as a talk show host, to ask the tough questions, to guide through the questions that I ask, so that people can decide. Of course, we are not the ones that decide for the people, but if we set the right questions and give the people the information that they need to make choices, I think we will have done our role.
Thank you so much for watching The Fourth Estate. We continue to hold the media accountable for the stories that they cover, the angles that they take, and the context that they provide to those stories. For this week, those of you that have watched us, have yourselves a good evening.